Oh, just look at it. Looks so good. So pretty and dangly and it clips to the floor. What the fuck? Hey, it's all with another video, and we're gonna do the Protection Paladin Artifact Challenge, or the Rage Tower, as I call it. This fight is super intense if you're doing this before the Tomb of Sargeras comes out, which isn't gonna come out until June or so. Right now, it is May 9th. And, well, basically the approach to do it as a tank is you just want to do as much damage as you can without dying, which is kind of a weird, not so even-handed approach. But given that this kind of challenge is meant to support having a decent bit of gear, well, the best that we can go about it is to take the approach of doing a lot of damage. So this is a full walkthrough, including the items, the talents, and pretty much a play-by-play through how I went about this fight. And let's start with the gear. I have an item level of 910, and I'm running with a pretty crit-heavy build. The trinkets that I'm using include the Horn of Valor, which happens to be a Mythic 10 Titan Forge, running at an item level 905, as well as this stat stick with strength and crit. The legendaries that I'm using include Cephas' Secret, which is kind of a given for this fight, since we have to do quite a bit of damage, and the speed boost definitely helps, as well as Tyleka's Legs. That gives me the ability to have my Avenger Shield to hit 5 targets instead of merely 3. Talent-wise, I went with Blessed Hammer, First Avenger, Fist of Justice, Cavalier, Hand of the Protector, Consecrated Ground, and, of course, Seraphim. Again, the approach to this fight is to try and line up cooldowns as best as you can and put out as much damage as possible before you die. There's certain items that I used that were pretty essential for doing this fight. Food-wise, I went with Bear Tartar. Basically, every time I kill something, I move a little bit faster, and this was pretty essential for the fight. I had Drums of the Mountain available for me. I used 2 Potions of the Old War, and I used a Strength Blast to get a little bit more oomph out of my deeps. So right now I'm going to cut to the fight itself and do the play-by-play. I have one hotkey specific for popping my Trinket, my Avenging Wrath, as well as Seraphim all at the same time. I have a button for Divine Shield as well as Blessing of Protection. I happen to have them macroed with a Cancel Aura, so that way I can quickly turn off the aggro reset from that, so that way the boss wouldn't be hitting on the on the NPCs. But in this case, in kind of retrospect, don't do it. I recommend just having the buttons just there and not have a Cancel Aura, because to be honest, it's not like the 2 ads or your 2 buddies are going to get one shot. At least hopefully they won't get one shot. And if anything, a couple swings from the boss onto those guys, it's not going to be a big deal, especially because they can get healed very quickly. For add-ons specific to this fight, I use DBM, but I also use weak auras. I'll provide a link below for both the add-on as well as the strings that I used. And credit doesn't go to me, just check out the website. In this case, I ran in. With the right timing, you can have your Consecrate and a Pre-Pot lay down, so you can save on a global or 2, but I guess I was just used to running in every time, and that's just how this kill shot went. From here, it's game time. I pop my macro to get my Seraphim, my Horn of Valor, and my Avenging Wrath all going, and I just unload the boss as best as I can. During your opener, and especially throughout the fight, you want to have your Blessed Hammer hitting as many targets as possible, and you want to avoid maxing out your charges. This is so you can throw as many Avenger Shields as you can, and you definitely want to keep that on cooldown. You just want to be mindful of exactly what you're hitting and make sure that you're not hitting a low health target, otherwise that's kind of a waste of DPS as well as your Bulwark of the Order. Ideally, you want to have the eyes all in one place. That way you're easily able to dodge the eyes whenever they're staring at you, since you have to stare back at them. Having eyes constantly spawn from one side to the other is probably going to result in a wipe. Hopefully you'll just get lucky and you'll have eyes mostly spawn in one area, but normally throughout the fight you want to try to ignore eyes as much as possible, at least as much as you can in order to control the fight. The reasons to attack any of these eyes is to either help control the fight, as in try to keep the eyes in one place, or to keep your hammers going. Again, you want to keep hitting targets so you can try to get your Avenger Shield to come off of cooldown, thanks to that good old Grand Crusader proc. Mind Rend is a big pain in the ass, doing around 2 or so million damage every time a cast goes off. Mind Rend is kind of negated thanks to the many interrupts that you have as well as your self-heal, which is probably the reason why you would be using it in the first place, because it hits so hard. Of course, keep in mind of the Aura of Decay, but between that as well as your Hammer of Judgment, you can get kind of an easy rotation down. Every time you leave the Aura, if you've been pumping out Judgment as much as you can, you'll probably have your Hammer of Justice off cooldown, so you may be able to cast it at that point. Keep that in mind whenever you leave the Aura, so you get a few seconds of precious downtime. As an engineer, I have a few small advantages. I have a Goblin Glider, as well as a Cobalt Frag Belt, which I'll try to point out later. I happened to accidentally hit an orb here, which kind of sucked. Not the end of the world though. So I throw the frag bomb here. It does a short stun and more importantly an interrupt. Since Consecrate lasts 10 seconds, I use that as kind of an aggro pull to get ads off of Velen and onto me. At around the same time, the aura debuff should be wearing off and I start running back in. It's by this time when Seraphim should be off cooldown and I'm able to pop it. Keep in mind that because of the aura, you're not going to be engaging the boss directly for very long, so you don't need to have 2 charges of your Shield of the Righteous available when you pop Seraphim. In fact, it's probably okay to not have any charges available at all. It's just going to be important that you do get Seraphim off while you're engaging the boss to maximize your damage. As a reminder, Avenger Shield does get a little bit finicky, especially on targets that you haven't hit before. Even then, sometimes it can get buggy and not hit all your intended targets, so just kind of be aware of that. So I leave the aura, do another stun, and assess the situation. It's not super necessary to engage the smoldering Infernos directly. They start to die by themselves, but I think it's important to at least tag them so that way your Avenger Shield will definitely hit it whenever it's close. Drain Life can be a pain in the butt, given that it's going to hurt you as well as heal the enemy. If you're a little bit low on DPS, you definitely want to interrupt these as much as you can. If you do exceptional DPS, and I don't do exceptional DPS, you can let a couple of ticks go off if that means you can cleanse your debuff or you can get your interrupt ready or anything like that. Every now and then, you pretty much have to hit an orb, and this is for the sake of multiple eyes staring at you. These interrupts will help ensure that there's a stagger between the eyes that are staring at you and not staring at you. As a reminder, whenever a new eye spawns, it's going to immediately start casting on you. So try to position yourself ahead of time if you can help it. It's important that at this gear level, you want to re-engage the boss almost as soon as the aura debuff wears off. Sometimes that's going to mean hold down to Seraphim, sometimes that's going to mean the ads are going to beat on Velen for a little bit, but as long as you're not wasting orbs, you'll have plenty of opportunities to get everyone back up and regain control of the fight. When it comes to dodging Infernos, their smash attack comes really quickly. Your best bet is to run from side to side and not try to run in a diagonal line or even worse to backpedal. Again, as you can see, Consecrate is a pretty easy way to get nether horrors to you, but if Consecrate happens to be on cooldown, you can use a Hammer of the Righteous instead. You just need to time it a little bit better so that way you can make sure that all the nether horrors hits before it goes away. Once the Inquisitor is down, all the eyes disappear and Kruul pops in to say hi. All the nether horrors and infernals are still up, and it's game time. At the very start of the phase, I stun the boss and try to clean up whatever extra ads are still up at the time. In this case, I didn't pop any major DPS cooldowns yet because I wanted to save it for Avenging Wrath. Unfortunately, Kruul can be a little bit unreliable when it comes to whether he's going to use his Annihilate or his Twisted Reflection ability first. The first Annihilate can probably be ignored with just your active mitigation alone. Of course, Twisted Reflection needs to be interrupted every time, either through your own abilities or through the orb. If you know he's about to complete the cast though, just run your ass away and make your way to an orb. Even when the ability does go off, the orb is going to cleanse the debuff from you and he won't self-heal. If he does pull off any significant healing though, you probably just want to wipe. The more life he has means the longer the fight, which means the more Annihilates are going to go off. Nether Stomp is probably my least favorite ability in his arsenal. There's not much of a timer, there's no warning, and it hurts really bad. Whenever Nether Stomp goes off, just try to run it out, but keep your active mitigation going. Those crazy purple beams don't exactly hurt, but they do push you, which can be incredibly frustrating. Run perpendicular or otherwise try to avoid these, because these things can cause huge problems, especially when it comes to the Infernal Smash, or trying to avoid Nether Stomps, or when trying to run in for an interrupt. With any luck, between your Divine Steed, your Sephuz, the Bear Tartar, and all that, you should have enough run speed to get out of Nether Stomp without getting killed. Preferably before your second or third Annihilates, all your cooldowns should be aligned as well as your stun. From there, stun them, pop tricks, and give them everything you got. Make sure you keep an eye on your Hammer of Justice, because that's going to be invaluable towards the end of the fight. For the second Annihilate, I decided to bubble it. In this case, using your Divine Shield does work on everything, including the knockback. The NPCs are going to take a little bit of damage, but don't worry about them too much. They can take some damage, and of course you can use the orb to get them back up. By the way, that Cobalt Frag Bomb also works on Annihilate. By this point I still have some tricks available. I forgot to use my Seraphim, I still have my Ardent Defender, as well as my Guardian of Ancient Kings. Once by now you should realize you can only use this once in the fight. This is probably the riskiest move that I made, trying to get that orb in the middle of all that nether crap. The green stuff does snare you, so I popped Blessing of Freedom to help me get through. That could have been the end of the fight. I'm not sure if I would have been knocked back into that wall, but hey, I'm not going to take any chances, so I popped my Goblin Glider. As I was coming back though, he cast Annihilate and I popped my Ardent Defender just in time. A lay on hands did the trick, and well, good game. That's the fight, and this was not easy by any means, especially for a player of my caliber who really isn't accustomed to doing DPS as a paladin tank, even though that's kind of what I'm supposed to do. In retrospect, even though I wiped tons and tons of times, this was a lot of fun. It encouraged me to learn something new, and with this newfound knowledge, I pushed myself to the limit and broke it. Of course, there were a couple nerfs, but, well, that's just how it goes. I know I talked a lot through this guide, so I'm just going to provide full footage as well for your guys' reference. Anyway, that's going to be it for me. Like this video if it's been useful, and subscribe to the channel for more content and to support me. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm Soul. Stay breezy, guys. my god. Fuck yeah.